Hi, welcome to another video from the CTAG Clinic. My name is Dr. Mike Lloyd and I'm the Clinic Director. In today's video I'm going to be asking a subscriber question, which is how to manage money with DID. And I think actually part of this question is also how do I manage spending with DID, because a very, very common problem that people with DID face, especially those that have amnesia that's quite throughout the system, is that they're not aware of what's being bought or what's being sold. So often the first time that some people with DID actually find out that things have been bought or sold is by looking at things in possession or trying to figure out what things have been lost. So this is a real problem. I mean, this is on a functional level, this can have a massive effect on the person's well-being and their safety and their security in the world, because you might not have very much money and can't really afford to have it being spent on all sorts of things. And if you're not aware of what's being spent until, say, packages are arriving in the post through online spending, or you're just finding random things about the house, a lot of money can get used up on this, and people can be very, very surprised at how quickly their money disappears if it's being bought internally. And the key premise here is obviously that internal parts don't necessarily really understand the context of budgeting and spending and being sort of fiscally responsible, because they're in trauma mode and because they're often young children and young parts. And I suppose it's the equivalent of giving like a very young child a credit card and putting them in a toy shop. They're going to spend or they're going to buy whatever they want. They don't really have that comprehension of what money might actually mean. So it might be that within the system of DID there are parts that have the ability to spend, that can understand online and shopping and things like that, but lack the ability to understand budgeting and the crisis that can occur when there's not enough money at the end of the week or the end of the month to pay the important bills. So there's a couple of key concepts here, really sort of to pay attention to. I don't think this is particularly, complicated stuff. It seems pretty obvious, but it is really maybe just really reassuring for people to know that they've got to do some very simple things. And I think the first one is that you've got to be able to monitor exactly what's going on. So keeping an eye on the banking apps, keeping an eye on the online banking or your credit card statements, whatever it might be, look for patterns, look for the nature of things that are being bought. So if you're finding that there's lots of clothes or toys or games or things that are appropriate for children, and you're not a child, you're an adult, but these are clearly things that a child part is locating the ability to buy these things, ordering and buying these kind of stuff, it can often signify that there's a part in there that needs a lot of time, needs a lot of attention, maybe needs a lot of reassurance, play, those kind of things. And actually in the absence of them being able to be given those kind of things or actively given those things, they're just going off into the world and sourcing independently the things that are making them feel content, happy or secure. So there is a way to be able to mediate this by paying attention and understanding what's being bought. It could be food things, it could be all sorts of stuff, it could be TV programs that are being bought on streaming channels, whatever it might be, but to have a sense of what pattern is being shown to you through the spending behavior. So that's kind of the after the event stuff. So once the money has already been spent and the items have already been bought, try to generate some sort of understanding. Keep records about what's being bought. See if you can connect what's being bought to parts. I'd advise against being really angry or being really judgmental or critical towards those parts, because they're not necessarily doing it in order to mess you up or cause you problems or put you in debt. They're doing it for their own internal, likely traumatic, emotional needs. What they need is a lot of gentle reassurance and the opportunity to be given things that are less about buying and more about time. So play rather than buying toys is really important. Reading books to your parts instead of them going off and buying audio books and things like that, right? The other thing is sort of like the more before thing, which is to sort of set out a budgeting plan. This is common sense for everyone, I think. Have a sense of what needs to be bought for the month or the week ahead, and be very, very clear how important and how vital these things are for the security and safety of the entire system. So for the person wandering through the world to be able to have enough money for rent and food and bills and all of those sort of things, is absolutely vital. And to impress the importance of this, for us to be safe, we need to be spending these things. If we go off and buy too much of the other stuff, we can't then afford our bills, and that is actually dangerous, and that can cause us huge problems. We might lose our accommodation, we might not be able to pay the electricity bill. So to be able to show in advance, to signpost the importance of how money is to be spent wisely, so that you're able to work out in a rough way how much money might be left for those kind of extra luxury items. You can then say to the parts, look, we've got a certain number of pounds or dollars or cents, whatever might be left, and this is the stuff that we can spend on doing nice things or buying nice things for you, but we have to limit it within this window, and I will buy those things with you. So to try and encourage parts not to independently go and buy things, but to do things as a collaborative activity. So it's always about trying to do things together. Don't promise something you can't keep. Don't promise that you'll buy something expensive if you don't have the money for it. But maybe could just guide the parts towards a more reasonable way of approaching these things. So instead of, say, spending £100 or $100 on some really amazing painting set, you might only be able to spend £5 or $5 on some small, like, coloured pens and crayons and things, but that you'll promise to do some of that artwork with them, so it's more about fun. Kids don't necessarily need big expensive things. What they need is creative play and enjoyment. A lot of kids get bored by the toy that they've bought and spend more time playing with the box that it came in. So it's that principle of time is a way of being able to substitute for money being spent. So I think, again, a lot of this feels like sort of financial planning 101, but I think within DID it's extremely difficult for a lot of people to keep track and understand their finances, because there's so many reasons why they're either not geared towards that kind of stuff, or that amnesia or things like that get in the way, distractions get in the way, triggers get in the way. There are so many reasons why just maintaining a simple balance of understanding about what's being spent is so difficult. It's not about judging yourself or thinking that you're useless or stupid in any way, shape or form. It's being kind and thoughtful to the self and going, this is one of those symptom areas that makes DID so much harder than it might be for anybody else. And to be thoughtful and to try and approach this sensitively and carefully without a lot of blame and a lot of anger, because it's easy to use those emotions, but it's not productive. So hopefully I've at least gone some way to answering the subscriber question. Thank you ever so much for that one. It's a really nice, general how to get through life with this condition type question. I really enjoy talking through those kind of things. So thanks ever so much for the question. Hopefully I've answered it as best as possible, and keep those questions coming. I really enjoy reading them. So thanks ever so much for watching this video. Do all the usual stuff, please share, like, subscribe, do all those things, keep the notifications so that you'll see when our new content comes out, and we'll keep producing it. So in between now and the next video, please do take great care.